Welcome to episode 1 of Art of Danmaku War. In this series, we aim to show and discuss some medium to high level aspects of Touhou Hisotensuku gameplay. In today's episode, we will discuss Typhoon, the infamous weather where hit stun and blocking are completely removed and one of the most feared weathers to come up in Aurora. Typhoon is so important that according to this data, it's the most manipulated weather in the entire game. Despite being hard to deal with, we need to be prepared to deal with Typhoon's specific gameplay mechanics, and a player that is conscious of their options will see that it can be a very big asset to their arsenal. Watch this Sakuya go! We can generally split Typhoon strategies in 3 categories: massive damage, hit stop, and hit and run. The massive damage strategy is characteristic of characters like Suika, Pacholi, and Utsuho, and is the most visually striking of the 3. When playing as a massive damage character, your goal in Typhoon is to hit as many of your strongest moves as you can. These characters will perform exceedingly well against opponents that aren't conscious about what they're up against, as their damage piles up quickly and hard. Just going head-on against these characters in Typhoon is usually a losing battle, so be careful. Massive damage characters usually have a relevant weakness in their setups. Suika, for example, doesn't have long reach on her moves, and characters like Machii rely on bullets for their damage. It is important to learn what your opponent favors and what your own options are, and then apply proper counterplay to come out on top. Some characters can also have unexpected tools in their kit, so it's important to experiment. This strategy might seem similar to massive damage, but it's not necessarily the same. The hit stop strategy attempts to lock the opponent in place. Characters who commonly use hit stop usually have bullets that deal many hits, such as Sakuya or Yomu. And this strategy can be very effective against opponents that aren't constantly on the lookout for it. Dealing with hit stop is pretty similar to massive damage characters. You need to have good movement and grazing, and be aware of your opponent's options. This strategy can be applied to most characters, and it often depends on situations such as how much HP you have left or which character you are facing. The idea is to quickly weave in and out while hitting your opponent, keeping yourself moving and hard to hit and adapting to how your opponent will try to chase and hit you. This strategy, while not being as visually striking as the previous ones, can still be extremely effective when performed correctly. It not only deals HP damage, but it also does a number on your opponent's patience and morale, since it's really frustrating to chase your opponent around but only end up eating damage and not getting much in return. You can hit more or run more, but the main focus is to not get hit than to hit yourself. This strategy can be the strongest of them all, but a misstep could spell doom for you. And of course, the difficulty of properly executing a hit and run can be very high. The most important takeaway is to always be mindful of which strategies your opponent will favor based on their character and their playstyle. Also, don't be afraid to get creative. There are various ways to play in Typhoon, and it's certainly a ton of fun when everything goes your way. Play consciously, reflect, study, and learn. These are the principles of the Art of Danmaku War. See you next episode!